Hey there, Mr. Kyle at Myers Mathematics. Today is day 3 of our factoring series. We're going to check out 4 problems today since it's on an even day, September 4th. Alright, so we're going to do 4 problems. And if you were noticing over here, it looks like 3, but if you check it out here, this middle one is a plus and a minus version, so that's actually 2 problems right there. So it's x squared minus x minus 20 today, x squared plus 2x plus 1, and x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then their last and final problem out of the 4, right? So 4 problems. 4 problems. The last one is x squared plus 2x minus 3. So let's dive right in. For the first one, all right? So if you noticed yesterday, we did x squared plus x. So today we did x squared minus x. Yep, man, every now and then, for whatever reason, I think I need a new pen. Just skips a little bit. I don't know if you guys noticed. Sometimes it just skips a little piece right there. Probably just because I need a new pen, but you know what? I'll spend another $50 later. X squared minus x minus 20. So let's do it. Yesterday, I just kind of dove right in with this number 20 and just went right to the factors that worked. Let me go ahead and just break down the factors. If you can't think of something right away, by the way, if there is no number here, you got to put a 1. Right? It really helps to understand that that's a 1 there. If there's no number, there's a 1. Because if I have a something, right, like right now, I have a pen in my hand. So how many pens do I have? I have 1 pen in my hand. So always remember, if there's no number in front of a variable, that means it's a 1. Right? So in this case, it's a -1. So the terms that could work would be 1 and 20, right? Because everything is 1 times itself. That always works. But if I subtracted 1 and 20, I'd get 19. So that's not going to give me 1. I want to get 1. So 2 and 10, right? 20 goes into 2. 2 times 10 is 20, but 10 minus 2 is 8, or 2 minus 10 would be -8. So that doesn't work either. 20 doesn't go into 3 because it just doesn't. Also because 2 plus 0 is 2. If you use the little 3 trick that I told you about in one of my factoring videos, how to know if any number goes into any other number using the little tricks. There's a little 3 trick, so check out that video too. But 3 doesn't work, so I'm going to go straight to 4. 4 times 5. That works. Because 4 minus 5 is -1. There we go, that's what I need. And then 5 minus 4 would be 1, positive 1, which is what we don't need. We want -1. So we just throw x's in front, and we call it a day. All right, let's move on to the next one. So what was that? X squared plus 2x plus 1. Let's do that one next. All right, x squared plus 2x plus 1. Well, this is actually one of the first factoring problems that you might have ever encountered. Now, I didn't do this one first because I had a different system for organizing all of these, but yeah, we're gonna do this. This is actually one of the most basic ones that you ever encounter, because all you do is, well, 1 doesn't really factor. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. You know, it's kind of. But 1 times 1 is 1, right? And nothing else. Literally nothing else, as far as integers go. But yeah, but it just so happens that even though 1 is 1 times 1, it also is 2 when I add. So it works, right? I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me the ending number and add or subtract to give me the middle number, and it does. And I want pluses. I could have made those both negative if I wanted to, because if I had 2 negatives, they would multiply to give me a positive. But I want a positive 2 when I add, so I need to add positive 1 and positive 1. Just throw some x's in front, and I'm done. There we go. Which, by the way, this is our first square number as well. When you multiply any 2 of the same thing, right? If I say 2 times 2, that's 2 squared. If I said 3 times 3, right, then that's 3 squared. So that since this is 2 of the same thing being multiplied, even though it's not just one thing, it's like a combination of things, it's still the same thing, same term, twice. So I could write it as the quantity x plus 1 squared. Cool. And now let's do the next one. It's kind of the same thing, but just the opposite. It's like heads and tails. Minus 2x plus 1. So this is where the negative comes into place, right? Obviously, there's no other factors to 1 besides 1 and 1, but if I add them, I'm going to get positive 2, and I don't want to add them. I want to subtract a negative, right? Meaning, or sorry, I want to subtract a 1. But when I do negative 1 minus 1, I get negative 2, right? I'm going to do a whole video later on integers and how to put those together, so if you struggle with that, stay tuned. But negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. Another way to look at it would be negative 1 plus negative 1, right, is negative 2. So that works as well. And then, of course, if I multiply them, right, it does give me positive 1. A negative times a negative is a positive, so this all works out here. And since it does, I throw some x's on it and call it a day. Well, look at that. It's the same two things again, right? They're both x minus 1s, so I can write this one as a square as well. All right. Now, what was that last one we did? It was x squared plus 2x minus 3. Let's knock out that last one. 2x squared plus 2x minus 3. All right, so check it out. We want two things that multiply to me 3. There's only really two numbers that give me 3. 3 and 1, right? No other numbers. So I want to get 2, and now I need to subtract, right? There's a minus sign here, so one of these, either the 3 or the 1, has to be a negative. If I do 3 minus 1, that gives me 2. Oh, hey, that works, right? So I want to do that. Now, if you had picked the other one first, if you did negative 3 and plus 1, that would give you negative 2. We don't want negative 2, we want positive 2. So just throw some x's in front, and there you go.